Hello everyone. In the last video, we discussed about Git Life Cycle. We also have discussed how this life cycle is implemented using different operations in Git. We also discussed how the collaboration between multiple team members is achieved. So in this video, we are going to see the demo about the implementation of this life cycle. Let us start. So for this demo, let us create a new repository. So let us click on new. So after logging into GitHub, let us click on new button here. So here I'll give the repository name as example repo. So we have to provide the description. So this is a private repository. We can add a readme file here and click on the create repository. So now a new repository is ready. So this is my user ID. So with this user ID, I have created a new repository. So here by default, when we create a repository, we have the main or master branch. For GitHub, the default branch is main. So here we can create new branches as well. So let me create a new branch also. So I will give development. So this development branch will be used for development code line. So let us click on create branch. So now we have created one more branch, development. So now we have two branches, one is main and another is development. We can also create multiple feature branches with development branch as parent. But for this demo, I am not creating those branches. So now we have created a remote repository and we have two branches. One is the default main branch and we have created a new development branch. So this is the user ID of the first team member, DevOps CDT. So let us add one more collaborator for this repository. So here we have to click on collaborators. So let us provide the password. Here we need to click on add people and we can provide the user ID. So this is the user ID of the second team member. So I am adding this to the repository. Now when we log in with this user, he can see a new invite for collaboration to this repository. So let us log in with this new user. So now we have opened this github.com with the second user. So here we can see there is a notification. We can click on this notification. So in the notification, we can see that there is an invitation from the first user. So we can select this and we can click on this. So here we have to click on accept invitation for accepting the invitation from the first user. Once we accepted, now this user can see the repository of the first user. So now let us go to the first user again. So there is one more thing we have done. So we have to provide the required access for the repository to the users. So for that we need to go to the settings and we have to provide the required access for the personal access token. We have already seen how to provide access to a personal access token. If you want to go in detail, please go through the video in the description. So for this token, we are adding the access for the repository. So here we need to edit the permission. So here we can only select repositories. So here I am selecting the example repository. So now for the permissions, we have to provide the read and write permission. So for that in the repository permission, so here we need to select for the contents, we are giving read and write permission. So these permissions are sufficient and let us update. Similarly, for the second user also, we have to provide the required permission. So for the second user also, I am clicking on settings. We need to go to developer settings and personal access token, select the token. So here I am selecting all repositories and in the permission section, so we already have the required read and write permissions for the contents. So this is sufficient, so we do not need to update anything. So now we have done the required settings for the users. So now we have set this first part where we have created a remote repository and we have the corresponding branches and we also have two users for collaboration. So now we'll log into the machine of the first user and we'll try to get this remote repository as a local repository in that machine. So for that we'll use the clone operation. Let us do that. So this is my testing directory. Here I'll clone the remote repository. So for that I'll use git clone command. So now we need to get the HTTPS URL. For the first time when we execute, it will ask the personal access token. So now we have downloaded the remote repository successfully using clone operation. So we can verify that. So here this is the example repo which is created now. So now we can see that there is a readme file. So we also can see a .git directory here which indicates this is a Git repository. So now this is the local repository in the machine of the first user. So once we get the local repository, so now we have to select a particular branch where we want to put the code. So here for that we will use the checkout operation. So we can verify the branches here. So we have main branch here. So now we have to select the development branch. So for that we will use checkout operation. So now we have to provide development. So now we have selected the development branch. And here we can see that the branch development is set to track the origin development. That means the local development branch is tracking the remote development branch in the remote server. So now our local development branch code is in the working directory. Let us try to put some files in the working directory and we'll add those files to the staging area. So here I'll add two files here. So let me add test1 and test2 files. So two files are created now. We can see whether these files are tracked by Git or not. So for that we can execute git status command. Here we see these two are untracked files. So to track these files, we have to add these to the staging area. So for adding to the staging area, we can use git add operation. So here we can specify the files. So now we have added the two files to the staging area. So we can verify the status again. So these are the changes to be committed. That means when we provide a commit operation, then these two files will be moved to the local repository from the staging area. So before that, let me modify the test1 file again. We can see the status again. So here we can see this is the modified file, but these changes are not staged. That means the modification is not present in the staging area. So for adding this modification to staging area, again we have to execute add command. So again we can execute status. So now we can see that the two files will be committed to the local repository from staging area when we execute commit operation. So now our new files are added to the staging area. So let us try to commit those to the local repository. So for that we'll execute commit operation. So now the two files are added to the development branch of the local repository. So now our modified files are available in the local repository. So now to move these changes to the remote repository, we have to execute the push operation. So I will provide git push origin and we have to provide the remote branch. So now we are pushing the changes in the development branch to the remote repository pointed by origin. Let us execute this. So now our changes are successfully moved to the remote repository. So we can verify those changes. So let me refresh this. Here we can select the development branch. So now we can see there are two files which are added just now from the machine of the first team member. So now we have seen how to add the contents in the remote repository from the machine of the one of the team members. So similarly, other team members also can add their contents to the remote repository by the combination of all these operations. So now if two team members working on the same branch, then each team member have to merge the changes of the other team member. Now let us see the collaboration between the team member 1 and team member 2. So we'll log into the GitHub page using team member 2. Then we'll add a file in the repository in the development branch. Then from the machine of the team member 1, we'll try to merge the code of the team member 2. Let us see that. So this is the second user. So here I'll directly add a file in the development branch. So for that I'll use this add option. So I'll give test3.txt, some test content. So let us commit the changes. So now we have added a new file test3.txt using the second user. So now we need to get the development branch changes from user 2 to the local repository of the user 1. So for that, let us use the fetch command. So now we have to get the changes done by user 2 here. So for that, let us use git fetch command. So this git fetch command has got all the details in the local repository. So now we have got the changes in the local repository. So we have to merge this content in the working directory. So now let us verify the directory content, and also we will verify the branch. So now we are in local branch development. So now we have to merge this origin development branch to the development branch. So for that, let us use merge command. So here I am giving a message, and we need to provide the origin/development branch. So now the merge is completed. Now let us verify the contents of our directory. So now we have got the test3.txt file. This means we have successfully merged the content of user 2 in the working directory of user 1. So now if we want to perform some modification in this file, here I have added extra content to this file. So we can add this file. So we have added to the staging area. Let us commit this. So let us push these changes to the remote repository. So for that, we can use git push command, origin, and we have to specify development. Now we can verify whether these changes are reflected into the remote repository. So here let me select the branch development. So this is the user 1. So here we can see the modified content is added to the test3.txt file. So this way we can use the combination of fetch and merge commands to merge the contents of the changes in the branch to the branch in the local working directory. So instead of fetch and merge commands, we can also use pull command. So let us do some more modifications using the second user again. So let us commit the changes. So here I am directly updating the files in the console itself for user 2, but I can also do from the command line as the user 1. So now let us try to pull these changes to the working directory of the first user. So now let us use the pull command. So this command will fetch the contents as well as it will merge the code to the working directory. So now we can see the merge here. So we can verify the content of the file. So we can see the modified content from the user 2. So this way we can use the pull command as well for getting the modifications from other users. Till now we have placed the code inside the dev branch. During the development, the developers keep on pushing their code to the development branch. Once the code is ready to deploy in some environment, for example in production environment, the merging of this code from the dev branch needs to be done to the parent branch. So here the parent branch is the main or master branch. Now let us see how we can raise a pull request for merging the code from the development branch to the main or master branch. So here we have two branches. We have development branch and main branch. In development branch we have the code, and in the main branch we don't have any code except the readme file. So now let us try to merge the code from development branch to the main branch. So let us select the development branch here. So now we need to raise a pull request. So click on pull request here. So new pull request. So here we need to select the source and the target. So this is the source. The source is the development branch and the target is the main branch. So now we can create a pull request. So we can comment here. We can create a pull request. So here we can see that a new pull request is created. So in the pull request we can see like what are the files are changed or added. So here we can see if any conflicts are there in the source and target branches, or if any approvals needed for merging the code from one branch to another branch. So this branch has no conflicts with base branch. So if we want to merge this, we can click on merge pull request. So we can confirm the merge. So here we can see the pull request is successfully merged and closed. That means our main branch should have the code now. So we can verify that. Here we can see the code is available in the main branch. So this way we can merge the code from one branch to another branch using pull requests. So these pull requests are for GitHub. For GitLab it is merge requests. Till now we have seen the workflow where every collaborator is collaborating to the remote repository by placing the code in the corresponding branch. But there are some organizations, they follow a different approach. Instead of directly contributing to the remote repository, they will fork the repository under each individual user ID. That means they get the repository on their own ID. Once each collaborator gets their own repository, the process is same. That means instead of contributing to the remote repository directly, they will contribute to the similar branches in the forked repository. Once they feel all the code are changed in the forked repository, then they'll raise a pull request for the branch in the forked repository to the corresponding branch in the remote repository. So for example, from development branch of the forked repository to the development branch of the remote repository, and then another pull request from the dev branch of the remote repository to the main branch of the remote repository. So now let us perform these steps. So here I have logged in as user 2. So previously we have changed the code directly in the development branch of the remote repository. So now instead of directly contributing, let us fork this repository. So for that we have to click on fork option. So now the owner will be the ID of the user 2. So here we can mention if you want to copy the main branch only, or we can copy all the branches. So let us untick this as of now and create a fork. So now we have created a new repository under the user 2, which is forked from the user 1 example repository. So now we can select our branch here. So let me select development branch. So now I am changing the code in the development branch of our forked repository instead of the original repository. So let us change this code. Here we can check out the code in our local machine and do the changes, but I am changing directly in the console. Commit the changes. So now we have the content changed in the development branch of the forked repository. So let us raise a pull request now. So let us create a new pull request. So let us select the development branch here. And this is our forked repository. And this should be the development branch of the remote repository. So this is the remote repository. So now let us create a pull request. So here we can see what are the changes in this pull request. It is also saying this branch has no conflicts with the base branch. So let us merge the pull request now. So we can confirm the merge. Pull request is successfully merged and closed. So that means the latest code should be available in the development branch of the user 1. So let me go to the user 1. So this is user 1. Let me select the development branch here. And let us see test3.txt here. Now we can see the changed content. So this is another type of workflow where the changes would be done in the forked repository by following all these steps, and then a pull request will be raised to merge the code from the branch of the forked repository to the remote repository. So in this video we have seen the Git life cycle and how the life cycle is implemented using different workflows, and we also have seen how the collaboration happens between multiple team members, and we have seen how we have used the important Git commands to implement the workflows. I hope you liked the video. If you liked the video, please like, share and subscribe. Thanks a lot for watching.